Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vicky, Pattison, The Secret To. This week, I am joined by none other than trailblazing influencer, Love Island star, and one half of my favourite celebrity couple. It's Teddy Soares, everybody! Woo!
Yay!
Right, I've got to ask, did I say that second name right? I feel so bad. Did I butcher it with my dulcet Geordie tones?
No, you smashed it. Usually people call me Teddy Shores, and I'm like, that sounds like a disease. What is that?
Why are they making you sound like you're from my neck of the woods, like Wall's End or something? Like, you're cosmopolitan. Give the man the credit.
But no, you smashed it. You smashed
Yes.
it.
I'm such a cosmopolitan prick these days, honestly. I'm practically bilingual, I think. How are you, Petal? Thank you for coming on.
No, it's all right. Thank you for having me. I'm absolutely good. Very busy, as you can imagine, and getting used to what that feels like right now. I mean, I was busy with work, but that's routine. Do you know what I mean? But right now, I feel like I'm pulled from pillar to post, and it's like, oh my god, I need to get used to what the hell my goals are right now. Pretty much.
It's so hard, like, to come out of something like quite a normal job, which, like you say, has routine, has structure, and you know what to expect from your day, to be thrust into something like being an influencer, being a celebrity, the position you're in now. And I love my life because I thrive on like unpredictability. I thrive on like late night texts telling me, go here, do this has changed. Like, I find it exciting. I think I always said, like, whatever my job looks like, it has to excite us. But I did find getting used to that took a lot of time.
Yeah, it's just I don't even think I'm used to it now. Like I said to you, it's just I was one that Instagram was just for fun. Go on Instagram, post a relaxing post. It might be a quote here and there, me working out or whatever. I think it was a case now that you're just thrown into the deep end, aren't you? And I mean, when I got my phone coming out of the villa, being thrown with under just 1 million followers is like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do with that?
It's a baptism of fire. Like, I
It is.
often say this about the Love Island lot. Like, yes, I think the way I started, like, our steady rise was just that. It was slow and steady, and we had to graft at it. And people didn't like her for a while, and people didn't know who we were. And I slowly climbed the ladder. But with you guys, like, you have no phone and you have no idea what's going on. And then all of a sudden you're just like released back into the wild with, like you say, normally about 1 million followers, everybody wanting a piece of you, the world knowing who you are. And that's gotta be a pretty overwhelming feeling.
Yeah, it's frightening. It is frightening. And the thing is, I absolutely love the support. I love absolutely everyone that's kind of supported me in faith. Now, when it comes to what I thought I was going to do, it's going to be call family and call work and be like, yeah, I'm back in work on Monday.
Yeah.
And not being able to kind of go back to what you're used to. Because in theory, it was kind of like going on a long holiday and going back thinking that you're going to kind of go straight back into what your life was before. But you're having to, I'm having to learn a completely new, different world. I'm meeting Vicky Pattison, for example, sake. Like,
oh, fuck off. I'm meeting Teddy Soares. Like, I'm the lucky one. I don't know how, like, you feel like you're doing, but like from an outsider looking in, and someone who's got 10 years experience, 10 years plus that in the industry, like, I feel like it looks like you're navigating it pretty well.
Oh, I appreciate that. Do you know what? I'm someone that's always been so self-critical of myself. So even speaking to Faye, like, she's like, calm down, relax, like, stop being so what's the word I'm looking for? Insecure. And it's like, yeah, but I'm not used to this. So I don't know if I'm doing this right or what's wrong and like what's in the middle. So it's kind of hard, and you're trying to listen to so many different people, especially management. And usually I'd just be listening to my circle, it'd be my boys, my family. And now you're kind of trying to draw from other people's experiences. And you don't, like I said, you don't know what's right and wrong. So it's so, honestly, it's so hard. It is so hard.
It is hard. And like, I think as well, because there's no rule book for this. Like, yes, there are reality TV stars, and yes, there are influencers who've done it before, but you don't necessarily want to do it like them. I think the beauty of a good reality star or a good influencer or whatever is they do things like them, like they carve their own way. And from what I've seen, like I've just read that you're the first ever like influencer that like Jack Wills have used, like in terms of reality TV. And like you're obviously doing something right, hun, because there are brands that wouldn't normally take notice of someone from Love Island or someone from Made in Chelsea or someone from wherever, and they are taking notice. So you are carving your own way. And regardless of how loud that pesky little inner critic can be, I think sometimes you need to just say, shush, shushy, I'm doing a good
Yeah.
job, because it looks to me like you are.
Ah, appreciate that. Appreciate that. And I think you're right in what you're saying. I think with a lot of the opportunities that I've done, I mean, Full Monty, for example's sake, that was like something that's close to my heart. Jack Wills, like there was other brands out there that was kind of
Can you tell
knocking on the
me then?
door.
Because I'm so nosy, and one of my right, you turned down a big brand deal. Like I'm talking 6 figures, mate. That is like life-changing money for a lot of people, but you didn't feel like it was right. Can you tell me who you turned it down with?
No,
Come
no,
on,
I
no,
can't
you
do
go.
that.
Oh, damn it! I really am just such a nosy fucking cow. This is why I have the podcast.
No, I cannot do that because obviously I'll be get shot the next day. But
Damn it, he's remaining tight-lipped, folks.
yeah, I think in terms of, again, that you obviously you've got more experience than me. You know what's kind of right for you and whether or not it's something for you. And instincts wise, I run on instinct, so I feel like it was so easy for me to be like, I say easy, but it was one of those things that it wasn't too difficult for me to kind of turn it down and go towards, for example, Jack Wills, because it was more towards my makeup. It was more towards what I could kind of see in terms of my long-term picture. Short term wise, yeah, it would have been fantastic. Yeah, I would have been able to take the boys out and be like, yeah, let's have a drink,
Order what
take
you
Faye on
want.
holiday.
Get the champagne, get the lobster.
Yeah. Let's go, Nobu, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think yeah, it's just been the way I've been brought up. I kind of came from nothing as well, and I just kind of appreciate and value the footsteps that I'm taking now. And I think, Faye included, she's we're like two peas in a pod in that way. So speaking to her, bouncing off her, it made that decision a lot easier as well, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, I think you two, like, you are my definition of a power couple. And like, I know your relationship is still in its infancy and stuff like that, but I feel like based on, well, for starters, everyone's fucking obsessed with you. Like, I've never had more requests for a person on the podcast than I have you. I was like, right, okay, guys, I am trying, I promise. But no, I think like based on everyone's reaction to you and how much I love you, like you're obviously just inspirational and doing really good things for each other, because you both seem so really happy. So that doesn't surprise us. That's just steering you in the right way. I think she's a really shrewd girl, like a very business savvy cookie, and I don't think people give her enough credit for that. Am I right?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's so easy, again, day to day wise, for me to kind of go to say, what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Because she has got that savvy mindset. And like where I may question myself, and I tend to question myself quite a few times on things, just because I'm just, like I said, I'm self-critical. She'd be kind of there to be like, oh, you know what, babe, that's okay, that's good, that's, and she'd give me kind of rational explanations as to why I do it. Whereas, I don't know, like my brothers might actually say, do you know what, try that out. And it's kind of like, whoa, slow down.
It's just like, take the money and let me put truffle on everything. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So and just, yeah, doing things that are close to home as well. Like I said, with the Full Monty, like jumping on that, feeling like the feeling after doing it was liberating, and I wouldn't have been able to kind of feel that way just by making a quick decision at the beginning. I wouldn't have known what that would have meant. But yeah, it's an amazing partnership. I wouldn't have thought I'd go into Love Island and find what I've got now. It's mad.
You're gonna make me cry. I'm getting so emotional. Before I do cry and absolutely fangirl you and Faye too much, can I just say, like, just listening to you talk, it's really refreshing to hear a man discuss like uncertainties and being self-critical and having doubts and feeling out of his depth. Like, I never had you pegged as some sort of like toxically masculine fella anyway. Like, it's quite obvious you're not that cup of tea. That's not your cup of tea. But actually, like, you're so evolved. Like, it's really lovely. And I think it's nice for young lads who probably have watched Love Island and are now following you and whatever, to see that there is like another, like, there is a space in the world to be very masculine and like be successful, but also be like in tune with your feelings, to not have to avert like traditionally masculine qualities. Like, I just feel like it's a you're smashing it is what I'm trying to say. I'm mumbling through that, but like what I want to say is like it's refreshing and nice.
Oh, appreciate that. I appreciate that. I think it is important to like release your emotions and not bottle it up. And I think a lot of men have that voice inside their heads that they know it's there and they just ignore it. Like, they'll push it to the side, go out, have a drink, go out with the
Yeah.
boys and just pretend that, they're not going through something. Whereas like my boys would tell you, I'll literally be like, but I'm not on it today because of XYZ.
Yeah.
And we'll have a long hour chat on the phone. Then we'll probably go out and have like a good time. But
That's
before
so
that,
important though. Like,
yeah.
that's so important. Like, honestly, back in my day, if you look at reality TV, for example, right? Look at my show. And this is no disrespect to the boys on my show. They were cast for a reason. I think they were completely a product of their generation and society at the time. But it was all about smashing birds, like having no feelings, like lads, like wanking into a sock, I don't know, or whatever they were doing. But that's definitely like what was encouraged. And I remember, like, even back then as a 20 something, feeling worried about what we were projecting. Like, women were just meant to cry over men all the time, and men were just meant to do what they wanted, like, and have no feelings and have no like ramifications about their behavior. Like, I felt like it was
Mm,
really toxic. And looking now at the people like you who are going on Love Island, the people like Dr. Alex, like the men who are like sort of becoming successful off these shows, I think it's really lovely that it's evolving in that way. And we're showing young lads like, hang on a second, like, it's not just all about like the notches on their bedpost. That doesn't make you a fella. There are plenty more things that actually make you a real man.
yeah, definitely. I think as well, like a lot of people forget that, you have a mum, and in my case, I've got a little sister as well. So it's kind of respecting that as well. And again, it's probably because of the way I was brought up. My dad passed away when I was very young. When I grew up building my relationship with my mum, it's having these like difficult conversations with my mum all the time. So like that's getting my feelings, my emotions out, and it's talking. My brother, I'm very close with my brother. We were always talking about emotions all the time between me and him. There's not one point where he would hide something from me and vice versa. And even now with Faye, like now that I'm with Faye, we talk all the time. And there's
Do you,
moments
do you get a word in?
Do you know what? Yeah, we're in the middle of that one.
The dynamic's the same as me and Erica, and I fucking feel hard sorry for him. Sometimes I've like talked for an hour and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry, how was your day?
Oh God. But yeah, there is moments, you know what? When I do eventually get a word in, she's literally like, babe, it's fine for you to talk about your emotions. It's like having someone close enough to you to give you that reminder that it is okay. Because obviously some people don't have the fortune of having that. Like, you might have a shit friend that you call them up and it's like, oh my God, I'm going through something, and then somehow that friend ends up talking about themselves and you just get lost, and it's like, hang on a minute, I called you with a problem.
There's so many people like that, and I call them. So I have this method, and it's not mine. Like, I can't take credit for it at all. I am not going to appropriate someone's intellectual property right now. It's my therapist's thing, and it's basically there are three types of people in the world, right? And there are people, and you can work out who they are by how you feel when you see their name flash up on your phone, right?
Oh
So
wow.
I know, and it's madness, and it's so simple, but it's actually so true. So there are people who, when you see their name flash up on your phone, you'll go, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Like they're your pals. Don't get me wrong. Like you're not being two-faced or anything, but you just know, Teddy, they're ringing you with a problem like they always do, or they are
Yeah.
ringing you because they want something like they always do, or they're ringing you just to drag you down. Like there's not going to be a
Yeah.
moment of that conversation where you're laughing and having a good time and feeling jolly. So they're called, coincidentally, the draggers, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's the second people who are like the kind of middle of the roaders, who, when you see their name pop up, you're thinking, what are they after? Is everything all right? Like, how's your day? Whatever. If you said to them, for example, like, oh, I'm gonna start like this new like lifestyle routine on Monday, I'm gonna be really fit and healthy, they'd be like, oh, good for you. Whereas if you said that to the draggers, they'd be like, what are you doing that for? Like you'll just fall off
It's
the
a waste
wagon.
of time. All
Yeah,
this
it's a
kind
waste
of
of time.
stuff.
They'll
Yeah,
drag
yeah.
you down, you know? And then the final people, right? And this is who we should all aspire to be in life. They're called the igniters. And when you see their name like pop up on your phone, you're like, hello, is everything all right? Like absolutely buzzing to chat to them. And you know, if you say to them like, oh, I'm starting like a healthy routine on Monday, they'll go, that sounds fucking class. That'll be great for you. I'll do it too. And like before you know it, you're going to the gym together. They light up your soul.
They are the vibe. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's who you should be ringing. You should be looking for your igniters next time you want to have a chat. And I'm sure you've got them in your life already, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like I'm so tight with my brothers, and even with Faye, to be honest, like that's why I feel like our partnership does work so well, because when we're together and there is ever, even our highs, to be honest, like we're celebrating those highs, our lows, like we're together, like we're lounging about or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or we'll go for a long walk, go to Devon or whatever, and go to see the dogs and play with the dogs and see family, and we'll see my family. Like we do something. So there's always something when we're super busy where we can just escape and kind of get back to that happy medium and get a balance, if that makes sense.
That's really important to have that in your partner, because like you said at the start, your life is going so fast now and there are amazing things happening all the time, and you are a little bit out of your comfort zone because nothing exciting ever really happens there. So to be doing all the amazing things you have to be out of that. But it's lovely to have someone that you can not only share this with, mate, but who can counsel you, like you say, and also be there for you when things don't work out quite as you planned. Like, that's a fucking madness. Did you ever think you were going to go to Magaluf with your little case and find a bird that was like this for you? Did you ever think?
Nah, not at all, not at all. And the thing is, my boys will tell you I'm a hopeless romantic.
Oh, I
So
love that. So am I. Honestly, I kept looking for it. I can't. Even after all the heartbreak, I was like, he's fucking out there. I know he is.
yeah, like it's just one of those things that when I got the call up, it's like, yeah, you go when you're flying out. I was open to finding love, but finding it is another question, because you've just been let down so many times in one way, shape, or form. So yeah, like everything that we went through, even in the villa and out of the villa, like it's just, come on, like we went out, we came out the villa. When we moved into this place, we're sleeping in an airbed, like airbed. Usually people be like so prideful and be like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, please, you're talking to the right person. We slept on a fucking mattress on the floor for nigh on 6 months. And like, honestly, by the end of it, I was like, people were saying on my Insta story, like, are you on a mattress on the floor? And I was thinking like, yes, actually, Deborah, I am on a mattress on the floor.
Very
like,
proud as well about that.
I know what you want us to tell you. Like, I can't get my bed yet. Like, the dog's really comfortable in the front room. You can get out the back. Like, this is my life right now. No judgment from you, please.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, we're just two peas in a pod. And I think when I initially went into that villa, I was a massive skeptic. Like, even, you're talking to psych before you go into the villa, and it's kind of like, I'm just like, should I be going on this show? Am I really going to find what I'm looking for? Like, I don't need I don't need all of this whole Insta followers, all this fame and all this, all that. I don't really want it. I'm not looking forward to this. I don't want to do it anymore.
Was there a
and all
part
this
of you
kind of
that nearly talked yourself out of it, Teddy, just before?
yeah, because even to my brothers, there was one moment where I was on the phone to him, and it was like, my brother asked the question. He was like, are you sure about this? Like, have you thought about all of it? Because my life before, I was in a decent job. I was working hard, like you said. I was in a routine. Like my company, I was fairly high up in the company in terms of like my performance and everything. So everything was cushy. Everything was fine.
This was a big gamble for you then, right?
Yeah, everything was okay. So the only thing missing really out of my life was the love life element of it. So, you know, Love Island for me, going into it, it was like, okay. My mum was the one that kind of said to me, like, think of who you could meet. Think of that partnership that you could have.
Soares is the cutest little
yeah. Like think of that opportunity and then kind of amplify that and think of how happy you can be. And then I thought to myself, all right, fuck it.
Take a leap of faith, babe. Take that leap of faith.
Yeah, and now everything that I've got with Faye is like it's everything and more, honestly. Because like even when I'm with my family, I don't feel pressure if she's at home or with her family. I'm not like, oh, I've got to rush off home because I'm worried about the fact that she's like thinking about what I'm doing, or this everything is just so nicely balanced. It's amazing. It's good. I'm happy.
You can tell you are, like, it's literally radiating out of you. Like, this grin is infectious. I'm actually having such a nice time. Teddy, that's the end of part one, and I know I can't quite believe it myself because we've just been chatting away non-stop, but will you come back in part two so I can grill you a little bit about your relationship with Faye, because I'm just such a nosy cow.
100,000,000%, you grill away.
Get me George Foreman out. See you in a sec, son. Hello everybody and welcome back to Vicky, Pattison, The Secret 2. This week I am joined by none other than, I'd pretty much say, the most requested person we've ever had for The Secret 2. It's Teddy Soares, everybody.
Hello everyone.
Well, honestly, I'm telling you the truth. Like, I always love to, because me listeners are so important. Like, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing it and blah, blah, blah. So I always like to try and get good guests on and people that they want to hear. And sometimes it's madness. Like, sometimes people are like, would really love Kate Middleton and Cheryl Cole. And I'm like, so would fucking I. Like, so would our pet, you know? Like, tell me how to access these wonderful women and I will get them on. But like, apart from the wild and the wonderful ones, we get a lot of people requesting you. And actually, after just chatting to you for like 25 minutes, like, I knew you were lush, but I can absolutely see why people are obsessed. You're a very nice man, mate.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words.
Don't tell Faye I said that. I feel like she'll kick my head in.
Where's Vicky?
Human. Speaking about Faye, I feel like it's going really well with you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, honestly, I'm not just saying this, like we are going from strength to strength.
You can say that, I think, on what I see on social. Fuck, I fall into that trap. I'm like, oh, they're so happy.
Honestly, like, I'm not even going to say that we don't have our spats. Like, we do obviously have our spats.
It's healthy.
Yeah, we're together obviously 24/7. But yeah, everything's just like it's going kind of up, and I couldn't have honestly dreamed of being in this position where, you know, my life has changed massively, but to kind of have a partner that's you're able to kind of just have good conversations with, come back home, smile, and just like enjoy each other's company. Like, it's good. It's amazing.
You've met a real life partner, which I think is super hard to do, especially like based on like how you've met, you know, like we were just saying in the break, I feel like Love Island absolutely smashed it this year, and like all of the main couples are actually still together.
Yeah, they did. They really did smash it. And I think it's kind of a testament to the couples that are still together, because everyone, even when they are together, like even example, Chloe and Toby, like you can see how connected they are.
Yeah.
They've got their similarities, they've got their differences, but everything just meets in the middle. And the same thing with me and kind of Faye, you know, ice, fire, really calm, really fiery. and it's like how everything just nicely mixes up in the middle kind of thing. So it's they've really smashed it.
So I often say, like, in relationships, I spent years looking for someone that I thought could handle me, like the chaos that is Vicky Pattison. And, you know, I thought in order for like someone to be able to handle that, they had to be just as loud and really strong in like a typical sense, you know, commanding a room, walking in, knowing everybody, being the life and soul, all these things. And it took me to being like in my 30s before I realized that actually, like, you don't need someone who matches you in that sense. Like, if anything, if you want a healthy and happy relationship, you need someone who kind of offsets it, someone who compliments you, someone who can make you see sense when you're like fired up, someone who can calm you, someone who can bring a sense of like balance to your life. And like meeting Erkan made all of that really apparent. But it wasn't like, so when I first started going out with him, like it wasn't without, it's kind of like, because it was so different to what I was used to. Like I was used to like raging arguments and like and big fallouts and not speaking to people for days. Like I was used to drama. So to go out with someone so drama free, like it took a lot of adjusting for me to realize, like, oh my God, this is what a healthy relationship feels like. This is what happiness looks like. Like even to the point, Teddy, where like, because I wasn't crying all the time, I was like, do I really love him? Like I honestly convinced myself that relationships had to hurt if you were really invested. So like what I want to know is, between you and Faye, like, did you both have to adjust to this? Like, is she used to dramatic relationships? Are you used to more like things being harder? Was this, I don't know, did it just always feel really easy, or have you had to work at it, I suppose?
No, we've definitely had to kind of work at it, because even as I say, we've been living together since for literally 24/7 since we've been out of the villa. So I'm learning
all pressure.
I'm learning all these new habits. And even when she's busy and I'm busy, it's kind of like when we come together, you're bound to headbutt. And I'm really chilled, like I'm really relaxed. But even, you know, it gets to a point where I'm like, Jesus Christ, like you know, my limits can kind of get to a point where it's I can't be too relaxed in certain situations. So at times, obviously, I do have to kind of remind myself that I have got a fiery woman, and this is kind of what I signed up for. You know
Honestly,
what I mean?
Sometimes I feel like Erkan looks at me when I'm fucking storming around, telling him everything that needs to be done and telling him what my day looks like and doing this and doing that. And I think there's this flicker in his eyes, this look where it's almost like, I signed up to this. Like I willingly signed up to this. And it's hard. It's not easy going out with someone like me or someone like Faye, who like completely knows their own mind, is incredibly strong, incredibly driven. And like, if there's nice things, don't get us wrong, mate. Fucking hell, we'll have your back. Like, we're interesting. Don't get us
loyal
wrong.
as fuck. Oh my God, yeah.
But there's downsides. We're absolutely nuts on occasion as well. So I get it. I feel for you and Erkan, but like you're shouldering a lot, but you're the man to do it, I think.
Yeah, we've definitely worked so hard to kind of, in terms of all the noise that we hear, and I'm sure you can appreciate that we hear so much stuff coming in, like, oh my God, you two shouldn't be together, this.
Oh,
And
stop.
yeah, and on top of kind of when we do have our hard times, it's like, hang on a minute, we do have good times, like you just said, like we have amazing times together. And I think we just appreciate each other and appreciate each other's kind of qualities and who we are as well. So at the end of the day, I know when she's stressed, there's two ways I can handle it. I can either push the button.
I was going to say, poke the bear.
Literally.
Which I just started to get sweaty at the thought of that. So you'd have to be fucking mental, mate.
Or obviously I could nurture it. And, you know, we do that for each other, because there's times as well where I feel a lot of pressure, and I'm like, oh my God, like, how do I kind of, because I'm human as well. So I do also have my moments. So having Faye there to kind of appreciate that as well is just as important. And she does that really well. So it's not just kind of me kind of controlling her fire at times. She's kind of doing the same thing with me as much as I am calm. So the balance just works so well, is what I'm getting at.
No, and I get that. And like everybody does have their flaws. Like I always say this, and I think I had this conversation with Faye, there's always like from outsiders looking in, there's always a dickhead in every relationship, right? There's always one. And like, you can be dead nice and both have your thoughts, but it's, in terms of like outsiders looking in, there's always a dickhead. And for years, because I've gone out with such utter bastards, right? It was always, oh, poor Vicky. Poor Vicky. Look who she's going out with. Look at those dickheads, like, And I was like, yes, I'm so lovely. I'm the victim. But now I'm going out with Erkan, who is so fucking nice and lovely. Not even going out there, not engaged. I'm the dickhead by default. So whenever anything goes wrong in the relationship, like if ever there's a fallout, my mum's like, but what did you say? And I'm like, hang on, you're meant to be on my side. Like, and if there's ever a fall, if we ever fell out, like nobody in the press, nobody in public would believe Erkan did anything wrong. Like, he could literally run over my dog and everyone would be like, but what did you do? Like, honestly,
how did you get to that point?
Yeah, but how did you push him? Tell us, because we know you're the dickhead. And that's what you and Faye have going on. And I told this, I was like, Faye, you can be the nicest lass in the world. You can be supportive partner. You can be kind. You can do his cooking. You can do his cleaning. You can give him business, whatever. You're going to be the dickhead in this. And I feel like that is probably one of the things that she's had to like shoulder as well. So I think, and I know you don't need me to tell you this, but she probably is taking a little bit more of the flack than you sometimes.
Yeah, and to be honest, I get that with like her mom, her sister, and I do feel like sometimes they're on my side a lot of the times as well. Like you just said, made me laugh so much because honestly, it's a spitting image of what we're like as well.
Yeah, we're the dickheads by default, unfortunately.
Yeah. But I think honestly, we've grown through so much. Like a lot of things that have happened in the villa. That it's such a long while ago now, and where we are now.
Well, it's nearly a year, right? It is coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up to a year. So a lot of the things that we've grown through now, a lot of the events that we've gone through like now, even things that she's doing where she's busy, things that I'm doing where I'm busy. We've had to, by default, kind of learn each other's habits really quickly to kind of be where we are now as well.
It's obviously all accelerated, and like I often say, like I've had loads of relationships based on people I've met in reality TV shows, etc. And like people often think, God, they're moving so fast and stuff. But actually, when you've been in that pressure cooker for like 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever, like it's seeing everybody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, like it does just naturally progress loads faster. And I think like your timeline subsequently coming out of something like that, like it is speeded up. And I don't think anyone should like apologize for that. Like, as long as things are going well, like don't let anybody else judge it, And love looks different to everybody else. So I think it's really normal that you're like living together now and sort of embracing this next stage of your journey based on what you've been through.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm appreciating it as well. We went to Cornwall for Valentine's. Faye set the whole thing up.
Oh no, it looked fucking lush. You guys are so canny, man. Honestly, I've seen it and I was like, I love that.
Yeah, it was unreal. And the break, it was like we literally stepped out of our current planet into a different planet because there was like no noise whatsoever. We cancelled everything out and we were just really in each other's space in that moment. So it was that just reminded us of why we are kind of with each other. And it was amazing. It's moments like that is why when you are in, like you use that analogy, pressure cooker, and you kind of step out of it, it just felt we just felt so free. It was nice. It was just nice for both of us.
Is that really important then, Teddy? Because I'm literally listening to this and I think it's really easy to get caught up in everything, like Erkan Erkan has a busy job. I have a busy job. We have the dog, we have the house, like everything we try and do outside of that, we're families and all the rest of it. And I'm not saying we're special in any sense. I know everybody has like different dynamics and is completely like treading water, desperately trying to keep everything afloat. But sometimes we forget actually to take those resets and like just take some time to just be us and potentially have a bit of a digital detox and things. Like, do you and Faye advocate for, like, are you advocates for that?
Yeah, definitely. I think you have to reset. It's so important to reset because you can get into a routine where it's just like work, 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 work. It's just
And
kind
these are
of do
like
what you're
ships
doing.
passing in the night, right?
Yeah, literally. And there's moments where, okay, say you're working throughout the entire day, you stop working, allegedly, you stop working, but
I mean,
actually,
if you've got that phone in your hand, babe, are you really? Nah, of
yeah,
course you haven't.
exactly. You still got the phone in your hand, you're chilling there through dinner, you still got your phone in your hand. Just before you go bed, you still got your phone in your hand. A good night, babe. I love you. Like
Yeah.
it's not a life that you want to be living, really. So yeah, we have to be so careful of that as well, especially because we're getting used to it and it's so easy to kind of keep to that habit. And I feel like if you do have that same habit, you're just going to have it throughout the entire relationship and you
Yeah.
won't even realize that it's something that you guys are doing. It just becomes a norm. So yeah, trying to get out of that habit is probably one of the hardest things in our relationship.
And I understand it because obviously, like Instagram and social media and all those things in general, like they've been a integral part of your success and intrinsically linked to how you guys make money and are able to afford like
Exactly.
nice things in your life. And I feel the same way, but I can convince myself of that, and it goes past that. Like I'll be lying on my phone at night and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, babe, I'm just working." And there is an element of me working, but there's also an element of me just scrolling fucking on Instagram to see what everyone else is doing as well. And
Yeah,
I really have to check myself because it passes a point of being information, it passes a point of being work, it even passes a point of being enjoyable, and it goes in to being toxic. And I do
yeah.
think there is a lot of like unhealthiness on social media. Have you guys experienced like firsthand any of the downsides of social media?
Yeah, 100%. It was a couple of months ago, a month ago. I don't remember the exact timeline, but we there was just so much kind of a bit of racism, and I was like, I've never really experienced like direct racism, if that makes sense. I mean, I've been stopped by the police every now and again, and I'm like, oh my God, I've been stopped by the police, all this kind of stuff. But on social media, where Faye gets a bit of a bit, she gets quite a lot of racism thrown at her for kind of being with me, and I was experiencing the same thing um, over kind of a Q&A, I think. But not to go too much into too much detail there, it was just something that I've never really expected to have any kind of trolling at all, any kind of trolling. Because I came out, and as I came out to a lot of great support, a lot of lovely support, and it was the first time where I was seeing the downsides of social
Yeah.
media. You read footballers getting it, you read other influencers and celebrities getting it as well, and people in their day to day as well. My little sister was talking to me about it as well from a school point of view. And it's so scary because you can't control it. It's just there. It's there. You delete it, but you've got so much coming your way. And I think any kind of hate, any kind of jealousy, any kind of toxicity in this world is just it's just nasty. And I'm someone that I like to keep it positive. I love
Yeah.
to keep good energy always. So when I saw it, it was like, what am I
It's
supposed
just
to do? And I just kind of came off,
heartbreaking.
yeah, just came off Instagram, and Faye did the same. We just I think we went to Devon, and we just kind of
It's
spent
your little
3 4 days.
haven, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of spent 3 4 days out of social media, and kind of I was on the phones with my family, speaking to my family a lot more around that time as well, and kind of going back into our own personal bubble, and almost reminding ourselves who we are, because
Yeah.
we know for a fact we're not those words that are being thrown at us. So yeah, it's hard. It is hard when you get it, because it's something you can't control. You can never control what people are putting out there. But I think we do handle it relatively well, I think,
No, it
between
definitely
ourselves.
sounds like
So
you. It definitely sounds like you do, and I can't imagine it's easy. It's obviously I'm approaching this from a place of like we had me and Erkan had some nasty messages once, and like
oh
obviously
wow,
his heritage is Turkish Cypriot, and I was like so ignorant to the fact that anybody would have a problem with it. Like I remember seeing it and staring at it for ages, being like, no. there aren't still people who believe things like this, are they? Surely, like, it shocks you. I think if you're a half intelligent person who's evolved and kind and all the rest of it, like, it's fucking so shocking. So no, I can't imagine what you must have felt being subjected to that on a bigger scale. And like, I just hope you know that, like, that is not what everyone thinks. That is like a couple mindless people. Like, the only thing I can say about that, Teddy, and this is honestly what I believe when it comes to any sort of trolling on social media, is that hurt people hurt people.
Yeah,
And you
100%.
got to think, like, what the hell is going on in these people's lives to spit that kind of disgusting diatribe? Like, they have to be very unhappy. Maybe they weren't hugged enough as a child. Like, I don't know what's going on. I know it's not your problem. I know it's not your problem. I hope you know that everybody who's like kind and nice and normal is 110% supporting you too. Like, everybody I speak to loves yours, and like, as I count you both as friends now, and I can see exactly why you're so loved, because you're both lush.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you. And it's weird because when you actually meet people and you see people in real life, and people come up to me and Faye in real life, and they kind of talk about how we've never ever had a negative person in real life, which is the mad thing. But on social media, people find it so easy. And to be fair, it's just because of how accessible it is to just put a negative comment on. So it's kind of, it's weird, because I would never ever, even to my worst enemy, put a bad comment on a photo. I just wouldn't.
Because you're nice, you're happy, you're in a good place, you've got a gorgeous girlfriend. Like, you know, I think it's honestly has to come from a real place of like jealousy and ignorance and anger. And I just don't think you can relate to those things, mate. Look at you. Yeah, cute as a bunny in a bow tie, and clearly very happy with your life. Like, those people, they don't even deserve our time. Let's stop talking about them. Fuck them. We need to hope they heal. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, just give them. I'll just give them all the best in the world and move on.
I hope you heal from whatever hurt you. You fucking pricks. Right? That is it. Teddy, I've absolutely adored talking to you today, but I know you're an incredibly busy man. So I am going to let you go. But before I do, here at Vicky Pattison, the secret too, we always ask our gorgeous guests to give our lovely listeners a takeaway. Something, it's a little secret that has helped them. And I'm totally taken with you, mate. Like, I think your attitude to life and how you seem very comfortable and content in your own skin, and not falling into sort of any toxic male stereotypes, I feel like it's very admirable. And we need more of that. So I'd love my son to grow up like you, to grow up like a kind, you know, being able to talk about how he feels and appreciating the woman, respecting her. Quite frankly, if he didn't, woe betide him. I would hate to think what would happen if I had a naughty boy who didn't respect women. That's just not possible. But I want to know what your secret is to being a modern man.
I think it's just being open to talking about your emotions, being open to kind of, for me, it always goes back to knowing who you are as a person. As long as you're comfortable with who you are as a person, you look at yourself in the mirror and you just think to yourself, yeah, I've got some flaws. It's okay to have flaws. In this day and age, you have to kind of recognize that at the beginning. Everybody is not perfect. Nobody is perfect.
It's a myth. Perfection's a myth anyway. It's such bullshit.
It is. So like, if you do see a negative comment on Instagram, or you do see anything negative thrown your way, at the end of the day, if you're comfortable knowing that you're not perfect, it shouldn't hurt as much, you know? And that's kind of one of my biggest things. And I always keep to who I am as an individual. And I always know from kind of day dot, I will always be comfortable talking about my emotions, no matter what the next man might think about me, or the next woman, or whoever thinks about me. It's kind of, yeah, I'm just kind of, I'm me. If you don't like it, get fucked.
Oh, what a perfect note to end that on. Mate, thank you so much for being such an honest, open, and just amazing guest. I love you both loads. Let's get a doggy date in the diary.
Yes, let's do it.